Yo, did she really say that?
No, I think she did.
Yo, what's good, everybody? And thank you for tuning in to another Tyler Perry's Sistas review. This is season 4, episode 3, entitled Pleasantries. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning family member, you already know what it is and what it always will be. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe if that's what you choose to do. Make sure you comment as well if that's what you feel like you want to do. So without further ado, let's get into this thing. So we pick up exactly where we left off with Danny and Preston at Karen's shop. So Danny tells Preston that, you know, he looks surprised to see her. And I'm like, yeah, duh. I mean, I'm sure this salon was the very last place he expected to bump into Danny. But, you know, nevertheless, there she is. So, and I ain't gonna lie. If I was dating somebody and all of a sudden, or was dating someone and we're not together anymore, and he just pops up at this random place that I wouldn't expect him to be, I would have some concerns. I'm sure, you know, the wheels are going on in Preston's mind. Like, what the hell is she doing here? So I would have felt the same way that he did initially. So, you know, Danny was going through her whole little thing about, you know, yeah, I come here all the time. And that's when, you know, Preston made the connection that Karen is Danny's friend. And so I was like, Lord Jesus, just look at this situation here. So Danny began to talk about, you know, Preston's attire, like how he looked and everything like that. And so she was like, speaking of hold down. And then she went and walked towards Tanya. And Tanya was like, hi. I said, that's right, Tanya. Don't back down. Don't back down to Danny. So I was glad, even though she didn't really verbalize anything, I was glad that Tanya stood her ground. Because if I was Tanya, I would have been like, yeah, sis. Speaking of hold down, don't make me put you down, ho. Like, that's how it would have been. Because Danny, you know, in all actuality, in my personal opinion, Danny was being her normal self, very rude and passive aggressive. That's how she was coming off. So, Danny and Preston, they go into Karen's closet and they have a conversation. Now, I really would have loved to see how the client, Tanya, what was her response to Karen? Because to me, that seemed, that from my perspective, if I was her, that seemed like a setup. Like, oh, that's your girl. This is something has happened with Preston and your girl. Like, what's really going on? But that wasn't a part of the narrative, so we didn't hear that. So when Danny and Preston go to the back room, he's kind of like, you know, like, what's up? Why do you want me back here? And this is where Danny pisses me off. Okay? None of these women know what they want. Let's just get that out the way. None of these women know what they want. They really do. They are very flip-floppy. You want somebody 1 minute, you don't want them the next. You're so, you know what I'm saying, enthroned with someone, and then the next moment you talking like you in love with your ex. It's like they are consistent with that, but it's like they just really show like they're just constantly in a state of confusion. So Danny is like, you know, you're on this date, like I didn't know about it, and he's kind of like, you know, why would you? Why would you know about this? Well, I thought we was trying to fix it. I said, Danny, fix what? The last time that these two people talked, Preston told Danny not to ever call him again, and he walked out of her house. That's how that was. It wasn't the most mature to me. It wasn't the most mature version of Preston, but, you know, I give him that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you don't know how to handle things, and you don't always make the right decisions in the moment. And to me, clearly, this is one of Danny's, because she's acting as if her and Preston are working on their relationship, but nothing about their last encounter showed that they were trying to be on the same page. So I was very confused. I was like, what the hell is Danny talking about? And, you know, she was like, black women don't want to be talking about cows all the time. And he was like, she does. I said, well, damn, you know, we find out that Tanya is a veterinarian and she loves talking about cows. You know what I'm saying? That's what she does. I'm assuming that's how, I'm guessing that's one of the things that her and Preston connected on. Now, what I do find interesting and doesn't make sense, first of all, let me just say there were a lot of inconsistencies in this episode. I try not to think about it. I try not to pay attention, but they're just so obvious I can't help it. So that was just one of them. Tanya didn't remember Preston's name. Y'all have set up a date, and obviously y'all have had extensive conversation. So it's kind of hard for me to believe that she didn't remember his name, but I know it was written that way to build up like the excitement or the element of surprise for Karen to go and call Danny about the possibility of her client dating her man, Preston. So anyway, that's how that was. And so, she asked Preston, did he like her? And Preston, pretty much said that he doesn't know, but he's going on this date and he's going to find out. And I do love the fact that Preston did not back down to Danny. He did not lower himself to make her feel good in this moment. He was like, no, this is what I'm going to do. And then you need to decide what part of me that you want, because I'm not good at giving out pieces. And I was like, I can respect that, because they haven't had that conversation about what they are to each other and what they expect to be in the future. So at this point, Preston, do your thing, dog. I'm with you, homie. Do your thing. So he leaves. And so Karen comes in to kind of find out like what's going on. Danny is asking her, why did you call me, Karen? Karen is under the impression that this is your man. I thought that it was a possibility pretty much that he was kind of playing you. So I just wanted to make sure, hey, that you knew what was going on. And Danny tried to make it seem like as though, no, this is a way that that whole thing about her being messy and miserable and all of that. Now, this is one thing that didn't make a bit of sense to me. But this is Tyler, so we know that he can go back and connect this. So when Karen brought up the fact that there's a possibility that Zach did this, that Zach hooked them up, I'm like, where the hell does Zach fit into this? Like, where does he fit in? And so we find out, I'm assuming that guessing that Zach worked at this clinic, and the client did Karen a favor when he initially got out of jail. This is before he started to work at the airport. So Zach knows of her. Zach knows Preston. So maybe he was the one that hooked them up. And I was just like, the sad part is, from the viewer perspective, that seems so far-fetched. But this is Tyler Perry that we're watching. So it's a strong possibility that could have happened. And we just wasn't privy to it. So Danny was in her feelings. She thought that Karen knew all along. And I'm just like, Danny, you're so confusing, because you have slept with El Fuego. Preston caught you. He shouldn't have been at your house anyway, but, he caught you in that moment. And you tripping off of a date when you done had two different penises in you while you're talking to Preston. Like, I said, I'm going to need you to calm down. I was afraid to say just a tad, but no, a lot. I'm going to need you to calm down a lot and just figure out what you want. So moving along to Zach and Fatima, the first scene with them. Well, before I get to that, Danny is in her feelings. So she walks outside, she leaves the salon, and she calls out El Fuego, basically to kind of set up a booty call. Which this is something that these women have in common, especially Danny and Andi. When one thing don't work out, they're ready and willing to hop on something else. They don't waste no time. I'm like, dang, we know how Andi roll. And now we're seeing, we know how Danny rolls as well. It's like, okay, one penis fell through. I got another one on the wayside over here. I'm going to pick up again. They just need growth. We just need to see some growth. So anyway, back to Zach and Fatima. So Zach comes in and he wants to have a conversation with Fatima. Fatima, I'm learning, is a very evasive person when she does not want to talk about something. And she tends to center her evasiveness around food. So she was like, she cooked. She asked Zach, was he hungry? He wasn't hungry. He really wanted to talk to her about the Hayden situation. And she was like, oh, we still on that? And he was like, yeah, like, Fatima, are you really this girl? Now, even though they got past that, I really do believe that Zach is more concerned about the situation than he's willing to show at the moment. For any man, I'm sorry, to be scared of the woman that you're dealing with, that says a lot. That says a whole lot. And social media had me rolling, because this one girl posted and she was like, is it me or is Fatima kind of crazy? I said, kind of crazy? Fatima is a full-blown nut job. And I do understand. Well, I'm going to get to that when I just do include everything with them. So with that scene, basically, she was like, you don't have anything to worry about. My dudes, they got me. They close by. And so Zach was like, yeah, about that. Who are these dudes? And basically Fatima was telling him, like, that ain't nothing you need to worry yourself with. We good and you're good. That's all you need to know. I said, Zach. Zach, baby, you better sleep with one eye open, okay? Because the more we're getting to know Fatima, bro, ain't no sex before all that. But anyway, Zach was pretty much telling her that he wasn't cool with the whole plan about Hayden hitting her, because she does reassure him that that was a part of the plan. And he was like, well, I don't like that part of the plan. Like, you got to give me the opportunity to beat his ass. I said, first of all, Fatima was hitting this dude with brass knuckles. I think he only hit her once. If that was any other man, he would have beat Fatima's ass. So, Zach, I'm going to need you to sit back and shut up. But anywho, so they get into, their sexual innuendos, and, he goes down on her, whatever. So the last scene that we see with them, they're finishing up, their little sex scene. Y'all, if Zach would have said, look at me one more damn time, I was like, what? I think he said, look at me about 6 times. And then one moment he doubled it up. Look at me. I said, oh God. I ain't gonna lie. Tyler was doing good. He really had cut down with the repetitive dialogue. I don't know what happened yesterday, but he was like on another level with this dialogue that was going on, especially between Fatima and Zach. It got on my nerves. It really did get on my nerves. So Fatima, in that moment, in a sense, she was showing some vulnerability, but we can see, like, Fatima wouldn't be if it was a man in that type of mindset, I wouldn't want to be with them, because she's the type of person that we're seeing that if Zach says something or do something that she just doesn't agree with or make her feel a way, she is quickly to come up with the idea to just end things with them. And if you have to constantly do that, no, or you have to constantly threaten somebody about what they bet not do, and my heart is in it, your heart better be in it, don't F with me, I want like, that's doing too much. That's doing too much, Fatima. That is doing entirely too much. And so as I look at Fatima to me comes off as and I know a lot of people are not going to agree with this, but Fatima really does come off as a insecure, controlling, and possessive person. She is like those. I'm like, what the hell did this ex do to you that have caused you to turn into this person? And I know I read a lot of comments that were stating that, Fatima has been hurt. She just don't want to get her heart broken. It's so hard to love somebody after you've been. And I'm like, stop making excuses for Fatima. Because if this was any other person, which we have seen it, especially with Karen, with the whole Karen and Aaron situation, it was like, Karen, either you're going to be with him or you not. It was so much energy given to that situation. And I'm like, but with Fatima, we're justifying why she's threatening Zach. We're justifying why she is coming off as like, no, I control this. You gonna do what I say. You think I'm not gonna have a problem with you going to play basketball at 10? Because he said he was going to play ball. Now this what got me. They had just got done having sex. Zach wanted to go another round. He was like, I just need some water and I'll be back in 10 minutes. And Fatima was like, no, I'm tired. I'm going to bed after this. Like, we're done, dude. Then all of a sudden, he says he about to go play basketball. Now, in a sense, I did feel Fatima, because she was like, why is this my first time ever hearing this? I said, you know what? Let's start right there. Now, we all have known Zach since season 1, episode 1. This man ain't never said nothing about playing no damn basketball. That he was in some kind of man league that played basketball at night. No. Where this came, I said, you know what? We know that Tyler is setting this up, because for those of us who saw the second preview that was released, Zach is playing basketball with Gary. We see Gary in the picture. We don't know if Aaron is there at that time, because Karen calls him. She calls Zach. She calls Aaron because she wants to talk to him. She was like, well, tell me where you are. I'll come where you are. She just really wanted to talk to him. But I'm like, we ain't never seen Zach talk about playing no damn basketball, and it didn't make a bit of sense to me. But that's what happened between them. Fatima kind of flipped a little bit, and Zach was just like, hey, look at me. Look at me. You gonna trust me the same way I'm gonna trust you. That's what we gonna do. I was like, Zach, shut up. You literally had sex with Karen 9 days ago. It's asking a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's asking a lot. Like, this just happened. This literally just happened. And you want Fatima to be all in. So I do understand her reservations and the reason that she's being cautious. I do. I really do. But all of us can tell how Tyler is now beginning to turn this character. Some people say, oh no, she's been this way and this is what Tyler hasn't changed anything about her. Lies. lies. We gonna still see this thing come to fruition about this whole personality situation with Fatima. This is just the beginning, but we're all gonna watch and see that. But who I want to go to? I'm not going in order at all. So Karen and Andi. Now Karen is at Andi's house and they're talking, and Karen makes a statement as far as with Gary. She tells Andi that, when it comes to her and Zach, I need to let go of him the same way you need to let go of Gary. And I said, baby girl Karen, you my dog and everything, but it's a little too early, sis, for you to be giving advice of any kind when it comes to relationships. Because basically in Tyler Perry's world and in Tyler Perry's timeline, it was just yesterday that Karen went up to Andi's job and showed her natural ass. So I'm like, you're not in a position to say anything. I'm gonna need you to, you have to still deal with your issues with Zach because they're not over. And I think because we look at these episodes and it's like, okay, well, maybe that was 5 episodes ago. Yeah, it was 5 episodes ago, but it was just yesterday. So it's like when we're watching it and it's like, you haven't really dealt with that the way you needed to deal with that. So I'm like, you need to just back off on the advice column, sis, and deal with your mess. Just deal with your mess. I didn't like that. I really didn't like that. But like I said, it seems like there has been so much time in between those moments, but it's really just been the day before. So Karen tells Andi that she misses Aaron. And so, basically Andi tells her, well, if you miss him, you should call him. She was like, no, I really shouldn't do that. Like, nah, good. Like, we're just taking some time. And so I was like, well, that was different, hearing her express some type of emotional aspect towards Aaron to her friends. I ain't gonna say to her friends, to Andi, because we never really heard Karen make such statements about him. So Andi was like, Karen asked, so are they happy? And so Andi was like, I knew this was coming. And she was like, yeah, they seem like it. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, Andi, you still playing this game of seesaw. You up, down, up, down. You telling Fatima things about Karen. You telling Karen things about Fatima and Zach. And it's none of Karen's business. Whether they're happy, sad, glad, it's none of her business. Like, why are we even continue to have this type of conversation? I don't understand it. It's played. At this moment, it's just played. But anyway, so they Karen is concerned about Andi taking Gary back. And again, it goes to show that's none of your business, sis. Let Andi do what she gonna do, because you obviously did the things that you did as it pertained to Zach. So it's irritating. It's irritating. It is literally irritating. And I couldn't even be happy of the things that Karen was saying, because I'm like, we've heard this before. We've seen this Karen. We've seen this wise Karen to know that Zach is not good for her. She's not good for him. She needs to move on. You deserve better than what you've had. And I'm going to play that audio so we can hear. Sistas already said this.
So you done with Zach?
I ain't got no choice. I gotta be. For my own sake, Andi. He's taking too much of me. And this Gary is taking too much of you. You know that. I know you can feel that.
Literally the same thing, almost verbatim. So they get the keys to Gary's car that he gave Andi to go for a ride. Karen suggests, do you think he has a tracker on it? It didn't matter. They took the car for a ride anyway. So as they're driving, they get pulled over by the police. So Karen has her gun in her purse. I'm like, okay, so you and Fatima just walk around with your gas just in your purse, just ready to. I said, Lord Jesus, both of them crazy as hell. But anyway, so, they're trying to remain calm. Andi is a lawyer. She was like, we haven't done anything. So the man is yelling at them to get out of the car. So they get out. And then we see 4 other people get out this damn car. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Then they go to a commercial break. It comes back on and they're singing a song. I said, wait, what? This was Gary's horrible, failed attempt to apologize to Andi. And I was with Karen all the way when she was like, do you know it is illegal to impersonate a police officer? And they in a police officer's car, lights, sirens, all of it. I didn't hear anybody say, oh, no. We are authentic police officers. I didn't hear that. And I'm like, in this climate, why would you do something like that? I'm like, Tyler Perry, what the hell was you I will say this. This is the first show that I've ever watched of Tyler Perry that he has written, like that I've watched. The only other show with Tyler Perry that I was like truly a fan of was House of Pain. Years ago, House of Pain, not this House of Pain now. And I really had no idea because he didn't write that show back then. He only produced and directed. So it was a great show back then. And I did not understand how people felt when the series finale of The Haves and the Have Not came on. People were very upset and angry because they rolled for him. I think that show was on for like 8 or 9 years, and people were disappointed. They talked about like how bad the seasons had become. And watching Sistas came out the gate, I think, hard. It was getting compared to like Girlfriends and Living Single and all these other shows. Now this show, for most people, has become a joke. It has become a joke. Other than TV Line and those I guess blogs that Tyler has some type of connection to, or that BET may have a connection with or a partnership with, nobody talks about this show unless it's in a negative way, which is really sad. But it's not in a sense where it's like this show can't turn around, because it can. But it's like Tyler continues to write junk. And it's like, I understand how people feel. Now I understand what they're talking about. Because I'm like, that scene there was like, half of these scenes in this episode could have been scrapped. Like, no joke, they just really could have been scrapped. So that was it for that scene. I'm like, what the hell was that? So then we see Danny. She goes to Sabrina's house. She basically tells Sabrina that Preston is going out on a date. I don't think that she told Sabrina about El Fuego, but she did tell Karen. And so she was like, Karen is just miserable and she wants people to be unhappy with her. And I said, you know what? It is a very hard sell for me to honestly believe that these people are friends. Because I'm like, half of the time, they talk junk about each other like they some randoms in the street. I'm like, this is so weird. And don't get me wrong, this may be a reflection of your sisterhood or your sister circle. I don't know. But the people that I know, this doesn't reflect them. And so it's very hard for me to believe. It's how my brain works. If something don't make sense, I cannot connect it. It's like trying to have two positive magnets. They're just going to repel. And so that's how my brain works when I watch a lot of this stuff with Tyler Perry. Whatever. We know he doesn't make sense half the time, and we kind of laugh it off. But it's just really hard when so much of this is so dumbfounded. But, anyway. So Danny is still making fun of Calvin and his vibrator. And I'm like, okay, we can end with that joke. We don't even have to talk about it or bring it up anymore. But she continues to do that. And so one thing I do notice about Danny's character is that when she is in her feelings and when she is hurt, she definitely strikes out at those who are most closest to her. And I think at some point they got to get her straight with that. Like, that's not cool at all. It's not cool. And it's like she intentionally does things to try to hurt them or issue out a low blow that she probably wouldn't have said if she wasn't in her feelings. You know what I'm saying? Because they've already had this conversation, especially her and Sabrina, about how Sabrina felt when Danny would say certain things about Calvin. And, she was like, he's a cool dude, and he did. And so it's like, when you think that we have seen them turn over a leaf, they're back to the same old, especially with Danny and that situation with her and Sabrina. It's almost as if like when you see them have a breakthrough, or when you believe that they have come to a place of maturity in their sisterhood or their individual relationships, it's never permanent. It's very temporary. So Sabrina kind of ignored it. They had a little drink. She told Danny that she was going out to eat with Calvin. And so that's really how that scene went. I'm just like, I don't even understand why she went over there. For what? I don't know. Oh, God help us. So Calvin and Sabrina, they go over to the house where Maurice is with Laz. And they're trying to understand, in what world did y'all think this would work, hooking us up? And, that Laz and so Sabrina comes in and she's like, oh, hi. I said, Sabrina's so dingy. as if she didn't know anything about this date. I'm like, you were in on it. You knew about it. And, Maurice and Laz were basically asking, like, why they can't find a good man. And at this time, Sabrina and Calvin had left. Why they can't find a good man and, so on and so forth, whatever. So the last scene was Calvin and Sabrina are out to eat to enjoy a normal night out just with them two. So this guy comes. I can't remember his name, his chocolate self. He comes, and I will say this. I do believe that he was rude slightly, because anytime you walk up to a table and there is whoever you want to speak with and they're there with somebody else, regardless of what you believe the relationship is, you acknowledge that person. Whether you say, oh, excuse me, excuse me, hi, my name is such and such. Don't mean to interrupt, but Sabrina, do you remember me? Like, he didn't do that. He went straight up there and started talking to Sabrina, and you could tell Sabrina was like, I'm not sure I know you. And so he really expressed who he was and where they met at. And she was like, oh, yeah. So you could tell old dude was trying to like hook up with her, like, hey, this is my number, call me. And Calvin kind of gives her a look, and she was like, this is Calvin. Y'all remember this, we coming back to this point. This is Calvin. And he was like, because Calvin was like, dude, I don't think you understand. Like, she's out on a date. And he said, oh, is someone else here? I'm sorry. That was so funny to me, because he literally had no inclination that Sabrina was on a date with Calvin. I'm sorry, that was funny. Now, he did pass judgment, I know, based on how Calvin was dressed. That's kind of a sticky situation. But he did judge. He did, prejudge Calvin, because they thought, him and his friend thought Calvin was gay. I don't believe they meant to be disrespectful. I just believe that based on what they think a gay man looked like or whatever, that's what they thought. Now, was it right? Was it wrong? Yes, I do believe it was wrong. But I wouldn't say that he just flat out disrespected Calvin. So he apologized once he realized, like, oh, they are on a date. And so he turned around, like I said, he apologized, walked back over to his friend, and he was kind of doing the thing like, nah, we got to cancel that. They didn't laugh. They weren't making jokes. They didn't say anything out of the way. Continue on with your night, sir. So Calvin was like, did he really just come all the way over here and disrespect me like that? I said, oh, God, he think he hard. Nah, Lord, he think he hard. Jesus. So I knew it. I was messaging my friend on Twitter, who he happens to be a Calvin supporter. You know what I'm saying? We gonna give him a reprieve. We gonna let him slide with that. But anyway, I said, watch Calvin get his ass knocked out again. So Calvin goes up to the dude, and I'm thinking Calvin was very aggressive. He was on 100. And the dude was like, he said, you came over there, you disrespected me. I think you owe me an apology. I said, Calvin, this man has apologized to you twice. What do you want him to do? Like, I love confident men. I can't stand an arrogant man. Like, ain't nobody finna bow down to you. Who the hell are you? I apologized. I was wrong. Continue to eat your food. He walked away. No, Calvin is F you, punk B. And I said, whoa, what? I was like, what is going on right now, Calvin? You coming out of the pocket, sir, like you got hands, my dude, and we know you don't. Now, he got a little sucker punch on dude. Dude kicked him in the private or whatever and punched him. I was just like, but before we got to that, Sabrina was like, Calvin, I think you're overreacting. And he was like, I don't need you effing apologizing for me. And here she go with her, this line she loved to say so much. Calvin, don't talk to me like that. I said, God, if Sabrina says that to another person, and she only does that with men. She only does that with men. She does it to Maurice all the time. Maurice, don't talk to me like that. Maurice, stop saying that to me. But it's very nonchalant. She doesn't have that bass in her voice like she did with Jacoby. When Jacoby called her girl, you would have thought he called her the worst thing in the world. But I'm like, when these other men who you claim to be friends with, or they should have your back, you let them slide. Calvin is quick to disrespect Sabrina, and that's one of the reasons why I do not like his character, because I believe that he's a hypocrite above all. And then secondly, he talks to Sabrina out of the side of his neck and think it's cool. She'll never call him out on it. And I can't stand it. So I'm like, you let him disrespect me? First of all, let's point out something. This is where me and my friend had a disagreement at. Excuse me. So when old dude came up to the table, so the dude, no, before we get to that, the dude was like, well, like he didn't know that, he was like, Sabrina, you better get your friend. He was like, I'm her boyfriend, like that. Sabrina kind of gave Calvin a look like, no the hell you not. I said, I'm sorry. I was like, this is comical at this point. This is comical. Now, let me say this about a woman. Not all women. I could just say me and the ones that I know. Okay. If I'm out with my man and I have had this happen before, it wasn't in a restaurant setting, but this has happened. I'm out with my man and maybe he's not next to me at the moment. And another guy comes up and try to shoot a shot. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't see me with anyone. I don't have a ring on my finger. So he believes I'm single. He's shooting his shot, trying to see what's up. The first thing out of my mouth is, you know what? You seem like a real cool dude, but I'm in a committed relationship with someone. Oh, okay. Does that mean I can't get your number? That's exactly what that means. But I let it be known that, hey, I am unavailable from the beginning. I don't even want you to think that there's a possibility because it's not. Now, if my man is with me and there is someone bold enough to do what old dude did, now I know my man gonna do what he do. However, I'm gonna be, the moment Sabrina said, this is Calvin. She didn't say, this is my man, this is my boyfriend, this is the man in my life right now, this is Calvin, who I am in a committed relationship with. Sabrina said exactly what Calvin is to her. Calvin. Point blank period. That's it. He's the one who slid that title around like boyfriend when y'all had that talk. You are not Sabrina's boyfriend. Sabrina does not look at Calvin like he is her man. And that was very evident on last night. I'm like, that's why she didn't defend you. That's why she didn't say, this is my boyfriend. She said, this is Calvin. This is Calvin. I said, if that ain't a good punch, I don't know what is. This is Calvin. I said, wow. Sorry, y'all, I hit the mic. Wow. I was like, damn, Calvin. Wow. Him and Sabrina just need to leave each other alone right now. They are not going to make it work. Just get it over with. It's just not going to work. Calvin need to deal with whatever insecurity that he has that made him respond the way that he responded. And I don't even think it was necessarily what the guy said. I just think that Maurice is I just think that Calvin is getting tired of being judged from people believing that he's gay because of the things that he likes to do sexually or how he likes to dress. And that's just his way of outward expression. I do understand it, but I don't like that. I don't like drama. When I tell y'all, I don't like drama at all. There are just certain things that will happen that you have no control over and you got to handle your business. But to just start stuff, that was so unnecessary. I think Calvin overreacted. That's just me. Now, from a man's perspective, that could be totally different because they have a certain, standard that they live by that maybe as a woman, I don't understand. But from my perspective as a woman, I believe that Calvin did too damn much. I believe he went too far. And, and it's sad because I don't condone violence, but, he's one character I don't mind seeing getting his ass beat because he hasn't learned his lesson from Jacoby. And then after all of that, he still wants to get up in somebody's face. So I was happy the dude knocked him out. I didn't care. I applauded that scene. I thought it was a good way to end the show, Tyler. But let me stop. But until next time, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for your messages and everything of that nature. I greatly appreciate it. If you are someone who are in those states that snow is crazy, I hope that you guys are safe. I hope that, you find yourself in great spirits or what have you. And I hope that it's melting or whatever your state is doing to keep you guys safe. I hope they do it quick, fast, and in a hurry. Like I was telling Patreon, I live in Florida, so there are certain things I do not get to experience as far as the weather is concerned. Only thing we get down here are cold fronts and hurricanes. That's it. But like I said, I hope you guys are safe. And until next time, I will holler at y'all later.